Hello, this is myself Imran with a series of lectures on psychology, and today we will move on the lecture number 4. One thing you should keep in your mind that in this series of lectures we will cover almost all topics, all subjects of psychology. So keep in touch with this channel and subscribe it for further videos and further topics. So today we will move towards the lecture number 4, named as Functionalism School of Psychology. In our previous lectures we have talked about the Structuralism School of Psychology, we have talked about the branches of psychology, we have talked about the basic terms that use in the subject of psychology. So this is our 4th lecture, and we will move towards our first slide. Yes, this school of psychology belongs with the psychologist named as William James. William James was a Harvard University professor, primarily trained in physiology and medicine. So psychology and philosophy fascinated him, and in 1875 he offered his first course in psychology. In 1890 he published his book named as Principles of Psychology. This book was of 2 volumes, and that is easily available in the market too. So he worked on the school of psychology that names as the Functionalism, because the structuralism school of thought was a bit controversial because they talked about the structure of mind, the structure of consciousness. So in reality that was difficult to identify the structure of mind or structure of consciousness. So in that response, William James, he was an American psychologist who worked, and he also called as the pioneer American psychologist, William James. He wrote his book, The Stream of Consciousness, Emotion, Self, Habit Formation, Mind-Body Link, and many more other things. So his work in the field of psychology, in the field of structuralism, was very much in. Now we will move towards officially the Functionalism School of Psychology. Functionalism School of Thought was emerged as a reaction to structuralism, as I described earlier on, that the functionalism was came in response of the structuralism. The founder of functionalism is William James. He is also known as the founder of American psychology, as I described earlier on, and functionalism emphasized functions rather than the structure of human consciousness. Yes, that was really important. And on this school of thought, the current psychology is very much dependent on the functionalism school of thought. So that is why this school of thought has a very importance in the field of psychology. So the William James has talked about that the structure of mind is nothing. Their feasibility is not there. What is important? Important is the functions of mind, the functions of consciousness, how our consciousness functions in our daily life. Let it suppose, if a person runs a car, I think the structure of a car isn't important for him. How that functions, what speed per minute, what speed per hour will deliver that, how much the fuel consumption would be there. So that is important, rather than the structure, that which material has been used here. So you can emphasize these two terminologies with each other, that how the structure, how the function is there. So while as far as the mind is concerned, as far as the consciousness is concerned, actually there is no physical object of that structure. Mind is there. Mind is like a software in the brain. So their feasibility is not there. So the next point is the functionalism also focused upon the way human adapt to the environment. Their role and behavior played an important role to be better to environment. Yes. Number one, it emphasized about the functions of brain and how that brain functions. Obviously, the humans and their relationship with the environment. So that is important. So that is important, that how human beings are linkaged with their environment, how they adopt their environment, how they behave in some different environments. So that is important. Their functions, their mind, how their consciousness works in the environment, how their awareness works in the environment, how their current state of mind works in the environment. That is important rather than the structure of the environment. Next point is that this school of thought examined the way in which behavior allows people to satisfy with their needs. Yes, it is important. We usually adopt our behavior that is more likely to our nature. Means the things that we liked, we want to do that. We want to apply those things again and again. So the favorable behavior, the favorable things are most likely to be repeated, and our behavior allows us, yes, to do that. And the things that are not favorable for us, we usually avoid from the environment. We will talk about these terminologies in our further lectures in behaviorism. Next point is that functionalists were specially interested in education and applied psychology. Yes, functionalism also applies that how the functions of mind works, especially in the field of education, and obviously the psychology is a subfield of education. Another important contributor in the school of functionalism was John Dewey. He was a follower of William James. He was a famous American educator. So as I described in our last slide, that what is important in this school of thought, in this school of psychology, that is education, applied psychology. So that includes in the functionalism. He was one of the key founders of functionalism. After William James, the John Dewey has a very good stature in the field of functionalism. Stimulus-response relationship is not an automatic. It's not an automatic. It determines on the goal of the behavior. As I described in my last lecture on the stimulus, in introspection, when I talked about that the introspection is a process where a stimulus is provided to the participant, and then the experimenter asks the questions that what that stimulus is. The stimulus is something that is reactable, in which you can react. The stimulus, the mobile phone is a stimulus, the laptop is a stimulus, the remote control is a stimulus. Everything that has a reaction, that is called a stimulus. So the stimulus and the response means, is there a mobile phone? What it does? It helps us to communicate with others. That is our response. The stimulus is mobile. And what we talked about, that what are the functions of that stimulus? That is our response. So stimulus response is not an automatic. It determines on the goal of the behavior. What is important? The goal of the behavior means things are likely to be repeated that are favorable for us, as I described earlier on. So that was something that John Dewey has described. He worked on the children's education syllabus. Yes. He thought that earlier on the syllabus was was equal for everyone, but the John Dewey has talked about the specific syllabus of the children with their age. So that helped a lot to their grooming of the children, because that is when the children are at the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at that time their education, that which sort of syllabus should be discussed, that was an important at that time, and right now too. So he worked on the children's education syllabus. So this lecture has been wound up, and at the end of the lecture I would tell you, I will review about the school of structuralism, school of psychology. Structuralism was a structure of mind, and the functionalism is that how consciousness and mind functions. That is important. One main important contributor, the founder of functionalism, was William James. He talked about the functions of the mind, the functions of the consciousness, and how our behavior works with the environment, how we change our behavior, how we modify our behavior. That is important. And after that, the John Dewey, who was another important contributor, especially in the field of the education. He talked about the stimulus-response relationship, how that come together, how the response is automatic or not, and he also worked on the syllabus of the children. So this was a lecture. I hope that it was in a very easy manner, and till the next lecture, I will upload the next lecture very soon. So till then, goodbye.